Hello and welcome to Sport Tonight. I'm Cecilia Omogbe in Lagos.
Sport greetings to you wherever you are in the world joining us. In London, I'm Austin Okonakban.
All right, it's a loaded package tonight on Sport Tonight. Of course, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, they are in a very, very tough group, playing against host nation, the likes of Senegal and also Mozambique. That's in Group A. We'll talk about that, talking about the CAF Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations. Of course, that will be taking place in Egypt later next year. Also on the program, we will try to get the IMC chairman, Elegbeleye, to come and explain what is the update concerning the start of the Nigeria Professional Football League. We are hearing feelers that is going to be January 8th, while the draw will be done on the 28th of this month. That's in December. Also, yes, we'll talk about development of basketball, what former players are doing to ensure that the game is growing no matter what's actually happening, you know, at the federation level or anywhere, but they want to ensure that, yes, that game is growing. Yes, Motsepe, his interview will also play another one for you today, talking about the Super League that most African clubs are eager to actually be a part of. There's so much to talk about on the program at tonight, Austin, especially with the return of the English Premier League, where you have all the 20 clubs will be in action during the festive season. Of course, Arsenal top of the table.
We can't wait, you know, that's leading the conversation right here in the United Kingdom. You know, fans are a bit worried. Will the momentum be sustained for teams such as Arsenal or Manchester City? And Pep is saying, look, he loves the fact that some of his players were at the World Cup, and so they've gained good fitness. And, you know, they showed it just last night against Liverpool also. So we're waiting for the Premier League to come back. But I love the lineup, and particularly some of the things we're discussing out of Nigeria, because at the center of it all, the core is for development. So I cannot wait for us to get into the conversation, Cecilia.
All right, while we're waiting for Elegbeleye to join us on the program, let's touch down on basketball, of course. Austin, I mean, we know Ejike Ogbuaja, he's a former D Tigers. He was drafted in 2006, Cleveland Cavaliers, one of those players right from home. He got drafted into the NBA. I mean, how many players get lucky to get that achievement? That's because at that time, we had a robust basketball, so to speak. We had a calendar, we had a structure. Everything was actually going on so well. So at the end of the day, you see, that's why these players can actually come back home and try to replicate things that are going on across Africa, of course, and that's why former D Tigers player Ejike Ogbuaja, he was in Abuja, you know, to try and hunt for talent that can be groomed into the national team. Let's take a listen to him, what he's actually doing right now, what he has been doing over the years to ensure that the development of basketball continues in the country.
Actually, every year I try to give our boys scholarship to go play basketball abroad. So about 15 of them is going to school in the US. Some of them will be high school, some of them will be university. So that is my aim of doing this. So I have 15, I must select 15 out of the whole camp to take them, to give them a better life. I have over 2,000 Nigerians that are schooling abroad. Some of them has graduated with masters, some of them has doctorate, and some of them are professionals. Some of them have come back to play for Nigeria. So it's been a whole lot of them. For the basketball in Nigeria or grassroots, it's very, very unfortunate. If I start talking about it, it's too much. You know, so I will tell you one thing, we need to do better for basketball. And our leaders have to do better, which I'm talking about the Minister of Sports. I think the best thing to do is really to help the boys not to be nuisance on the street, but to give them the best. Let's not lie to them again, okay? That is what I think, because for me, I was one of them. I played for Nigeria. Just imagine from grassroots to Nigeria, playing for Nigeria in the Olympics. It wasn't an easy run, because those times, back in the days, everything was coming the right way. So that's why people like me could play for Nigeria that long. You understand? So I wish that going forward, we need people that will just tell us the truth.
All right, he talked about development and, of course, what he's trying to do. 2,000 students, that's a whole lot, coming out from Nigeria. That's why we're seeing so many players in Nigeria right now. They are in the U.S. schooling, and courtesy of what Ejike Waja has been doing. Olumide Oyedeji is also doing something, he's been doing it for a very, very long time. So these stars understands what it means, to go to school and also to be a superstar, because, I mean, education and sports makes you a superstar. Those things have to come together, and that's what Ejike is trying to do, especially in developing basketball in Nigeria. Also, let's touch down also on development, and this one has to do with Governor Diri, talking about the governor of Bayelsa State, when he talked about the fact that the reason why Bayelsa State were able to come second at the National Sports Festival, it wasn't just something that happened overnight. It's because he decided to put round peg in a round hole and also square peg in a square hole. The right people at the ends of affairs. When you have them, obviously development will happen. That's what he talked about. That's what he says he will do. And one thing he says he wants to do before he leaves the office will be to actually have a high-performance center, and not just that, a world-class sports facilities in Bayelsa State. That obviously is going to help athletes from that state to perform at a higher level. Let's take a listen to him.
In all that I do, and in all that we do in terms of success, we give God the glory. But I think the important thing is that we're having square pegs in square holes. Yes, I was once a commissioner for sports. You cannot give all the approvals, but if you don't have somebody who is as committed as you are to put that into practice, all the approvals will have wings and they will fly away. But here we have a commissioner that is putting it into practice. We have a deputy governor who is also supervising. And so I believe that we are getting it right. We're also having athletes who are committed. And we're also going into the grassroots development of sports. And because we want Bayelsa State to be the hub of sporting activities in Nigeria. And that's why I have not ruled out the issue of providing a world-class sporting facility in the near future for Bayelsa State.
We obviously can't wait for that to happen, having a world-class facilities. And we know once you have those facilities, that's the bedrock of development when it comes to sport. Yeah, Segun Vincent is in the studio. He will be joining me to do some of the analysis. Segun, it's great to have you here on a Friday night.
Yeah, good evening. Nice to have you anywhere. I think you're praying for Christmas already.
Of course,
we're both wearing red, white. I'm wearing white too, so probably we're wearing too much.
It's kind of close.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the program tonight.
Yeah, I went too much with your glasses too.
Oh, okay. Now that's enough. All right, quickly. Let's touch down on this. I mean, you listen to Governor Diri, the governor of Bayelsa State, talking about, what he wants to do for the state. At the National Sport Festival, for the first time in the history of the festival, 21st edition, you're having Bayelsa State actually coming second, even ahead of Edo State, who finished second the last time. Edo had to drop to third, but Bayelsa, having a whole lot of medals. I mean, it was like people were shocked. How were they able to achieve it? And they just explained it. Very simple. Put the right people at the right position, and of course, results would definitely come.
Yeah, you see, in the sports industry, in the sports world, and of course in anything governance, politics, whatever, there's what they call planning, planning, putting the right people in the right places, putting the right people, getting the right implements for those people, the instruments, the implements, then the legality too, the Commission of Sports, somebody has done since he got there, he has been standing for them. Of course, also the governor too has been very, very, being a participant in the sports. He has always been getting their events, involving himself, getting necessary tools for them to basically do it. So if they don't perform at this point in time, it's their own point to blame, because they've gotten the necessary tools. They are both neck and neck with other states. Even the other that came on the cup because they won the last festival and they win this one again is here. So it's a wonderful result for the Bayelsa States, no doubt. And let's say I pass that for them, because you cannot take away performance, you can't take away priorities, you cannot take away those basic things. and then you're as best as what you've done last. So you look at it in that side, by that state, I've gotten and they're one of the best smallest states in Nigeria, if not the smallest, you know. So surrounded by lots of islands. So, but then a good one for them, no doubt. And let's say I pass that for them in the future as regards them sporting, and of course transcending those athletes into moving to the higher grade, which is the priority for those athletes and for development of the sports in general, as regards sports in the industry in Nigeria.
Yeah, that's the good one. Hopefully they can do that. I mean, despite the fact that they were the flood issues and everything, so these athletes were still able to train and went to Asaba and, of course, gave their all, and they were able to win all the medals, you know, that they won at the National Sport Festival. Still talking about development. This time around, we'll talk about tennis. The fact that, well, Nigeria will be hosting WTT series. Now, this is according to Eniton Shudi, who is the Vice President of International Table Tennis Federation. Let's take a listen to him.
Well, you know, over the years, we had our international tournament here, the Lagos Open, which has been part of the World Tour, and we've seen the impact. That's where the best players come to. That's where the best players play. Haruna Quadri, Omotayo, Bode Abiodun, all of them have come through, had big impact here. The Lagos crowd drives you to do better. Nigerian crowd, fantastic. And then the ITTF, you know, they've fallen in love with the atmosphere here in Lagos. Great support for all the players when they come here. So we look at June, I think, this year for the WTT, the first WTT series in Western Africa. Nigeria, as usual, will take the lead. Our sponsors have always been so good with, you know, backing this up. And the Lagos State government, we're in talks with them now, you know, with regards to infrastructure and other things related to the tournament. So we're hopeful that in June, the best players will be back in Lagos after the long pandemic break. Last year was good, but it was just Africa. This year we hope, you know, a few more top 20 players apart from Haruna, top 100 players. We're looking 2030, big tournament in Lagos.
All right, it's all about what we really want to do, the World Table Tennis Series. So, of course, Nigeria will be hosting one of it. That's a good one. When you talk about table tennis in Nigeria, we've seen the growth over the years. When Eniton Shudi was the Commissioner for Sport in Lagos State, of course, from there he became President of Table Tennis, you know, Federation of Nigeria, and then from there moving over to at African level and now international level. I mean, we've seen the progression. We've seen what they've been. What table tennis, what he's been able to do, you know, in Nigeria and of course in Africa as a whole when it comes to developing the sport. I mean, the way you're having younger athletes coming up, you know, grooming them. I mean, Lagos right now more like the hub of table tennis in Africa, hosting different tournaments, and the World Tennis Table Tennis Series coming to Lagos. This is going to be another great one for the state and also for the athletes.
Yeah, another great one for the state and the athletes. You know, you cannot major in one sport. You know, the likes of Australia, South Africa, the Americas of this world, Canada, they're always very fine in different sports. You know, although football is not their forte, but on looking at it on the other edge, it brings more revenue to the country, it brings more investors, you know, of course, development of facilities. Like you saw what happened when they did in the last festival, you know, because they didn't have those facilities at that point in time, they had to develop more facilities for the event to take hold, even though there were glimpses and this here and there. But a wonderful result, no doubt. And then one of the major sports we also have, we always make sure that we have a medal there, or have, like, we always take one or two, top 2-3 positions is table tennis. We have lots of Haruna Quadri, who has been excellent. You know, the man seems like a old wine in new bottle. He never seems to get old, you know, and wine never spoils, you know. So you look at it, the man has been excellent, doing the job at state level, moving up again. I think that table tennis is here to stay, and then I feel like probably in the future times we'll be getting more and more athletes, getting more involved, and so of course get better pay, getting better coaching, which is very, very important, because one of the key factors of any athlete or in any sport is that your coaching development is very, very important. Who's coaching you, who is teaching you, who's leading you, where you're learning, where you're training, are you training with the best, are you learning with the best? That will determine whether you're going to be a world-class athlete or a mediocre athlete. So for you as an individual, you want to be in the mediocre level, or you want to be at beginner level. And a wise man once told me that it's better to be a celebrity in what you're doing than to be a no celebrity in what you're doing. In other words, you have to be the best at what you're doing so that people can be recognized. So and be distinguished, be whatever you're doing, make it personal. Like, there's nobody that does what you do. Like Federer was fantastic with his finesse in how he used to play the tennis, and the way he does it is a different way that does it, the way Djokovic does it. So using that at the point of context, looking at it in the aspect of table tennis, everybody plays. So how can you, as an individual who's coaching you, how can you, as an individual, that what your own style is peculiar to you and to you only? So basically, that's what it is for the table tennis in general.
Yeah, and of course, other athletes will be able to pick up some styles from you, become a role model to other athletes who are also looking forward to you. I can't wait for that to happen. The World Table Tennis Series coming to Nigeria. Okay, still talking about issues, but this time we'll go to football. The African Super League, yes, I mean, he didn't work in Europe, of course, but it's going to be happening well, it's going to be happening in Africa. Yes, the African Super League will be happening in Africa. But before that, we have to go on a break. We have the IMC, that's the Interim Management Committee Chairman, Elegbeleye, will be joining us here after the break. Yeah, welcome back. Austin, I mean, the league is starting soon, of course. We know we have a big fish in the house that will be telling us more about the league and also when it's starting, if you're really ready for the new season.
Yeah, last night on the show, I talked about it that Elegbeleye said all the right things until he said the league will start soon. And I thought that didn't land, So I went fishing and look, we need to bring this IMC chairman on the program. Let's listen to him. Let the viewers, particularly followers of league football in Nigeria, understand the current situation. Let's recap. On September the 10th this year, the Ministry for Youth and Sports Development, they dissolved the league management company. Remember, that used to be the body responsible for league football management in Nigeria. And the ministry set up the Interim Management Committee to oversee the affairs of league football in Nigeria. Elegbeleye is the chairman of that committee. He joins us live on the program from Abuja. Good evening, Elegbeleye. Good to have you on Sports Tonight.
Yeah, Austin, how are you doing? Good evening.
I'm doing great, and compliments of the season.
Same to you, bro. I can see that.
Awesome. Good to have you on the show. Let's talk about this IMC set up by the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, your roles, and what you've been doing. What's the update? Are we making progress?
Definitely, we're making progress. When we were inaugurated by the NFF, we had some initial problems of problems, crisis of confidence. Again, that was the dead conspiracy of hope. Now the hope is coming up. Now. We had pre-season tournament to actually explore what we can do. So, and that tournament, we started with the sponsor, and we want clubs that want Flores for Nigeria before. Like the Confederation Cup. In those days, we call it Winners Cup. The one that first won. So, we discovered that it was only four clubs in Nigeria that ever won continental laurel. So those, and we gathered them together in Lagos. The very first two matches was played in Remo. Yes. Then again, the final was played at Uniform Stadium in Lagos. Each participating team was given 30 million naira for appearance. That's appearance fee to 40 million. Then and has been given to them. So delivered as promised. It was sponsored by Dosi Mubosi Foundation and Tingo Media. They are just excited to sponsor the Super Bowl.
Awesome. I'll pause you. We love that story that came out of that preseason tournament. So we'll talk more about it. But let's go on this quick break. When we come back, the possibility of having an abridged league, how supportive of the NFF and club chairman being to the interim management committee. We'll talk about all of that. So don't go anywhere.
Thank you, no problem.
Okay. Welcome back, Sports Tonight, on your award-winning sports-loving channels, television. We're talking about league football development in Nigeria. You know the story if you're following league football in Nigeria. In September this year, the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development dissolved the league management company and set up the interim management company, IMC, Interim Management Committee, the IMC, to oversee lead football affairs in Nigeria. Benga Elegbeleye is the chairman of that committee. He's in Abuja and he's been speaking to us on the program. Let's get back to the conversation. I love what we did with the preseason tournament. It looks to me like it was a good success, particularly with the sponsorship and the sort of money that was shared out to participating teams. How did we achieve that?
Well, we thank God that again, like I said, the first was conspiracy of hope, but we had initial crisis. But the NFF was very cooperative. The ministry was excessively in support. So we have them at the back and believe that, okay, we can approach sponsors. And the very first one we did was, we approached was Josie Mobosi Foundation and the Chingo Media. So they, okay, why not? And particularly the Josie Mobosi, the man at the aim of affairs, the international, is a global entrepreneur in Nigeria. And so, okay, he lives in the UK. I have to give out to my society, let me come and support football. And he joined us. Then again, awesome. When we finish, people think that it's not going to be possible saying you are playing pre-season and you give the winner 100 million naira. It looks so big to some people. Yes, that's never happened before, but we thank God we were able to achieve it. Through the cooperation of the sponsor, the NFF president and his team, they were supportive, and the Minister of Sports, solidarity.
That's what we want to know. We want everyone to work together so we can achieve the unity of purpose. Before I hand over to my colleague Cecilia in Lagos, what's the possibility of having an abridged league? I've been speaking to some club chairmen and they don't seem to want it. Where are we with that one?
Okay, thank you very much for asking that question. We never manufacture the word abridged league. We are not interested in whether abridged or anything. But part of our mandate is that we must align Nigerian football with the global calendar. It means we must end the football, our league in May to conform with the international calendar so we can join the rest of the world. Nigeria cannot be behind. I will say we are playing league. When other countries in Africa, in Europe, and America are playing the same league and they have a particular calendar, but Nigeria is not into the system. Now, finally given to us that we must end the league in May. Now, we met with the club chairman in November, telling them that we need to end the league in May. We didn't say we are going to play a big league. Give us your own format, the one you like, the way you want, so that we can end the May. We told them we want to be very flexible. Give us your format. We didn't dictate format to them. But what they gave us, to me and to the entire, it doesn't sound reasonable to us. First, they gave us two options. Option one, that they want the league to end in July, and when CAF asked for names of clubs to represent Nigeria in club and CAF Competition Cup, CAF Champions League, that we should give the names of the leading 4 teams at that time. And then that means halfway, we're going to submit names of clubs that will represent us in Continental Championship. Okay, what about the end of the league? And those 4 teams didn't even meet up. So I don't among the first 4. Then that means you are sending a team that did not actually qualify to represent your country to go to Africa and represent. We say this option is not good. Now give the option 2 they gave us, that those clubs who are currently, the clubs that qualified last season for CAF competition, that we should just send their names. Then why are we playing it? We should send the names of Rivers United, Whereas United, Remo Stars, United, those four teams, you just send them to CAF. Okay, this team, we have agreed they should represent us again. Without playing it, without any competition, it's not proper. That is how not to play a national. And the IMC said, look, club chairman, can they sit down again, give us a command that we want, and let us send this in email? They did not give us. And our last meeting 3 days ago, they said, go back to NFF and take their position to NFF. And I okay, then the NFF decide. We went to NFF. NFF said, look, you have to finish the league in May to align with the national calendar. And again, NFF now wrote to us a letter now that we should go for a bid. IMC is an appendage of NFF. A part cannot be greater than the whole. We cannot say no to NFF direct. So we are going for a bid. Definitely we are going for a bid.
All right.
Cecilia,
okay. Yeah. All right. Okay, I mean, so we're having an abridged league. Talking about the date commencement of the league, I mean, Fela's reaching us is that it's going to be on the 8th. The reason why it's not starting 28th is simply because of paucity of funds. That's what the club are complaining. What's the possibility that we will be having the league on the 8th of January if, as at now, they're talking about they don't have the funds? And also the issue of the takeoff grant that IMC were going to grant to some of these clubs.
Thank you very much. I do not believe when we met with the chairman, they didn't use the word paucity of fund as an excuse. What they gave us are those excuses I gave you earlier on. In fact, the chairman mentioned that it just came from CAF Champions League, that his players are tired, you need to rest them. Now, from my findings, this particular club was knocked out of the Champions League over 2 months ago. So that means players have not been playing for 2 months. They should be rusty. Yet you said you want them to rest. That was the excuse by the chairman of the club. So definitely that the issue positive of front, that should be left to the state government and the owners of the club. And on our part, on a time, we have approached our sponsors, and they promised to give support to all the clubs as a startup before the kickoff of the league. We agreed to start the league on the 28th. Our sponsors are ready to give the money. But the club chairman said, no, they don't want 28. On our part, in the IMC, we decided to be flexible. Which day do you want? Say January 8th. All well and good. So December 28th, we do the draws. January 8th, we start the day. That's it. And the NFF, we have communicated the NFF. They have sanctioned it. They have given us a letter to do our draws on 28th. And again, start the league on January 8th.
In terms of the funds, the takeoff grants, how much are we looking at for each of those clubs?
Well, it is left for our sponsors to take such decision. But they have given us problems that they will give. Mind you, in the past, I was a club chairman. All right?
Yeah.
The past 6 years, no club has been given any money by the LMC. I'm not aware of. If you give minimum, what we could give a minimum of $10 million per club. I like that our sponsors have given us that kind of impression that they will do that. But I want to wait for them to confirm it. But I was chairman of the club, and I can confirm just the lawsuit was not enjoyed by Nigeria past.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I mean, you've always talked about the TV rights, the deals and everything. I mean, people looking at, are we looking at the cable network, or maybe you're going to look at the national TV, or in that aspect, how are we going to see the league on television when the season starts, January 8th?
Well, thank you very much. We are with the NTA, the Nigerian Television Authority. They promised they're going to come up with formula so that we can start in the league. They have a dedicated staff before. They promised to do that for us. Again, we are going to approach through our sponsors. They promised to approach the cable network. So I don't want to give definite statement on that, but it's left for them to promise us. But it won't be immediately when we start the league. But I can assure you the NTA will start with us. But while we play the league up to half of it, most likely be on cable network.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the challenges we are facing with league football in Nigeria. With what you were one-time club chairman, as you mentioned, of Sunshine Stars. You've been DG of the Nigerian Sports Commission. You are a renowned sports administrator in Nigeria. What is the major challenge with league football development in Nigeria? Is it because majority of the clubs are state-owned?
You just mentioned one of the main reasons. You see, government has nobody. We have 20 clubs, 17 of them are state government, with the exception of Remo, Dakada, Akwa, and Duma United in Gum. The rest are government clubs. Our government appointed to share the club. And most appointments in the political setting is just to appoint. So, who takes the issue of commercial interest is not there? And again, let me tell you, most of us in Nigerian football industry knows the problem we have. We know the problem with our local, but the will and capacity to do the right thing, we all know where our problem is. We all know where we are. We all know solutions to this problem. But the truth is, also, let me tell you, most are not interested in solving the problem of our Nigerian football management system. you need to be a superwoman, forge ahead, and refuse to listen to those that.
And that's what I've been saying. I know there are a lot of people who shouldn't be in our football. Are you ready to step on toes? Are you ready to step on toes to ensure that we do the right things?
Thank you very much. When he was asking the question today, okay, that you are being criticized by so many people now because they say you have this hard lifestyle. So my brother, you want to be a leader, you must just be a leader and ready to step on toe. It's like somebody wants to be a farmer and is afraid of rain. Why don't you go and be a tailor so that your workplace will be the path? Or to be a farmer, you want to go from rainfall, you need the rain to grow your crop. And you have to be out there when you make qualification. So I'm ready. I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm ready to face him. My mind shows that I want to work for Nigeria. Our league can work. Morocco was World Cup. The place the main final is an African country. Morocco is not absolutely. We have resources to make Nigeria league the best football or to rank among the best football. But human factors is actually the problem.
I know.
Is, yes, they don't want this football. Who are the personal benefit, and they have to create a lot of bottlenecks. You have to forward that. The advantage that we have for now that the Minister of Sport wants this football, the President of the Nigerian Football Federation, the Prime Minister, wants football. So those who are actually trying to drag us, I will see them as less than, but with the cooperation of this group and the establishment of those support, I will get it.
Get ready for a fight, because one area you need to really fight is officiating. Yes. Refereeing is a major problem with league football in Nigeria. In fact, it's a Elegbeleye, it's a cankerworm. What can we do to ensure that there's some level of transparency, accountability in the NPFL, particularly as regards officiating?
Now, let me tell you how we had an arrangement with our sponsor. Now, the referees that we have in our system now, I spoke to the Federation for this.
Okay, I think we're having some technical issues.
3 years.
Right, okay, we got you back. You can go on.
Sorry, can you get me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Nigerian referees have been 3 years on paid emolument. How do you?
All right, I think we're having some technical hitches with Elegbeleye. If we can get him back, hopefully we'll continue with our line of thought, especially concerning officiating in Nigeria, which is, of course, as Austin mentioned, is one of the major problems concerning, the League of Nigeria. I mean, well, when Bulu was talking here yesterday, he mentioned the fact that, hey, we can't even get, Africa, Nigerian referees to be at the Nations Cup. And when we have one, we start celebrating. We're not even mentioning the World Cup and everything. But hopefully, if we get him back, he will be able to answer those questions. Because I remember he talked about the fact that they already have, clubs are no longer paying them indemnities to referees, so they will be in charge. They have their money for this year. But then, let's see how that will pan out. He talked about a whole lot. The being on TV, the takeoff grant, and everything. But then, before, I get you talking on that, let's take a listen to Patrice Motsepe, that's the Confederation of African Football president, talking about the Super League that it's coming up. Of course, so many clubs are interested in it. Of course, they are actually spoiled for choices now, which clubs will participate or not. But the guarantee fee is that as long as they participate in $2 million is actually a guarantee for each of these clubs that will be taking part in the Super League.
The problem we have is there are just too many clubs that are anxious. Let me give you an example. Day one, when you participate in the Super League, you get $2 million just by being a member of the Super League. The $2 million is to allow you to hopefully buy players as well, because we want it to be the best of the best. So $2 million, if you take an exchange rate, I don't know, it's way above 35 million rands. So that is 2 million to buy players, but also to help with transport, because there's a big challenge of traveling. I know we've been participating in Africa for the last, 15, 20 years. But there's also some exciting things happening. concerning new airlines that will make it significantly easier and quicker and better to travel on the continent. So that's meant the 2 million is to help with players, with transport, accommodation. I know that we've never, I've had many club owners saying that, we won, but we wasted so much money. We can never recover the money that we spent. So the problem we have is there's just too many teams all over the continent that want to participate. And of course, there'll be a relegation, promotion over time because it's not a closed club. But very good progress, and there's discussions taking place. And of course, we live in Africa. So many things are politicized and worldwide. So we find our way around that as well. But I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited about it too, talking about the Super League. Austin, yes, I mean, we can't really have Elegbeleye all through on the program, I mean, network issues and all that. Would have loved him to also mention on the Super League and the Nigerian clubs that would be interested. The fact that guarantee 2M. Cool.
Yeah, and I was loving that interview with Benga Elegbeleye because he was saying, I think he was saying some of exposing the problems. For instance, he was just telling us that some referees have not been paid for 3 years. 3 years.
Yes.
And now we're wondering why there's corruption in the league. We're wondering why referees are biased or make the wrong decision. A man that is hungry, you give him whistle to officiate a match. Why won't it be about the highest bidder? These are the problems. He also talked about state government putting people in the wrong places. You listen to Governor Odiri, he talked about putting the right people in the right places. He was former commissioner of youth and sports, so he understands the business of sports administration. He has Daniel Igali now, who is an Olympian, and his deputy governor is assisting. That's how to, make sports admirable. So, Cecilia, now I heard Patrice Motsepe still talking about it. Our problem in Africa is because a lot of things are politicized. We need to find a way out of this so that our sports in Nigeria and the continent as a whole continue to struggle. Yeah,
otherwise we'll not even win the World Cup they were dreaming of. Okay, so we're leaving later. It's a pity we really can't have him. Maybe sometime we're going to bring it back on the show, of course. We will talk more about this. But we'll leave this one and quickly talk about the Flying Eagles of Nigeria. They are in a very, very tough group. When you look at the draw that was done earlier today in Egypt, I mean, you just look at it. You're having Senegal, Egypt, Mozambique are not so big, but with what they've been doing in Kosafa region, in terms of under 17, under 20, you have to be afraid. Because, I mean, we're not even playing competitive football right now in the league or anywhere else. I mean, you hardly see things you can easily look, oh, this is what is going on. Well, it's hard. Players are in camp for a long time, play friendlies among other lesser clubs. But then let's take a look at that draw. What is really looking like? Yes, it's a bit tough for the Flying Eagles of Nigeria. Then you go to Group A, where you have, of course, they will be playing at Cairo Stadium, Egypt, Mozambique, Senegal, and, of course, Nigeria. Yes, this is a tough group. Then Group B, you have Uganda, Central African Republic, South Sudan, and, of course, you have Congo in Group B. Then, of course, the last group is Group C, Gambia, Tunisia, Benin, and of course, Zambia. These are the teams in Group C. And one thing about this draw is the fact that this is the first time you're going to be having 12 teams taking part. The top 4 will definitely represent, the top 4 represent Africa at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup taking place in Indonesia later next year also. But then you take a look at these countries, I mean, what they've done over the years and how they've been able to turn it around in terms of having different tournaments that is actually helping them. I mean, I mentioned Kosafa region, for instance, what they've been able to do at the under-17, under-20 level, both men and women. And now we are having the Flying Eagles in a group where you have Egypt, Senegal, and Mozambique. And, of course, the tournament is starting on the 19th of February. And, of course, going to end 11th of March. What do you think about this draw?
It's an interesting draw anyway, and like Austin would say, Austin is a man of faith. Austin, with Austin, nobody dies, But look at this group. This is a tricky group. We have Senegal, we have Egypt. They have strong presence in Africa. They're strong presence when it comes to issue of the local sports, when it comes to playing the AFCON, both at the youth levels and the grassroots levels and all of that, even international levels. So even Egypt are very strong when it comes to that. Even Mozambique, you cannot run them over because of their history and what they've been doing in recent times. But I feel like Nigeria have a fair chance in qualifying. But I like it's what I said. A man that uses mouth to drive car will never have an accident. So we can't particularly say that we are going to. But I feel like Nigeria, we have the squad, we have the players that can do the job. Of course, we cannot undermine the likes of Senegal, we cannot undermine the likes of Mozambique, undermine the likes of Egypt. But I feel like we're going to have a good outing come the competition starting.
7 times champion Nigeria. Austin, I mean, when you take a look at the Flying Eagles, what we've done over the years, you have faith that, yes, we can actually go further. But what we've seen in the last couple of years is actually hard to bank on any team from Nigeria at African level. It's difficult, really. My faith is, I don't know where it is right now.
And it comes back to what we're talking about, administration, leadership, because we're not building.
Yeah.
And there's no transition. Even when you see these guys at the under 20 level, you struggle to see about 2 or 3 make progress to the senior level, because we are ignoring the structures for development. We always want to use the shortcut. Let's not forget there's still also the problem of age cheat at that level. So I don't know. I love it at the grassroots. I love it at the age grade level, but we need to start doing the right thing so that we can start counting our blessings.
Want to count the blessings, or want to count it so soon? Well, let's leave that there. Quickly touch on Boxing Day fixtures for the Premier League. Of course, a whole lot of games. 20. I mean, all the clubs will be in action on Boxing Day. Austin. I mean, we're starting with Brentford and Tottenham will be in action, and of course, you also have Crystal Palace and Fulham will also be in action. Everton and Wolverhampton Wanderers will also be in action. Leicester City and Newcastle United. Leicester City, of course, they're having a bounce before the World Cup. They started winning games. Of course, they will be in action. So also, I mean, some of the clubs in action, you have Crystal Palace and Fulham. You also have Arsenal and West Ham. Arsenal 5 points clear at the top of the table. Yes, that is what it's looking like. Arsenal, of course, top of the table of Christmas. Remember what it's really like when a club is at the top of the table of Christmas? Usually, yes, they win the league. Aston Villa and Liverpool will also be in action. Southampton and Brighton will also be in action. All these games are on Boxing Days. You also have Everton and Wolves. Also, all the games that you have, Manchester United will also be in action. And of course, we know United, how Ten Hag has been talking about the fact that they spent so much money, but then he's hoping that, yes, that money that they've spent is going to help them in top 4. Let's just take a listen to him talking about the fact that, yes, they're not just going for the top 4. They also want to see if they can win trophies with so much money that they've spent.
The competition is tough. But I think it counts for all the 7, 8 clubs who are fighting for the top 4. So for all the one who follow the Premier League is great because they will be excited. You have to really battle for every duel to get your points. And what I'm looking at the process, how we're performing. And of course, we have to get the results as well. But if the process is right, when we get the right progress, then I think we have a good opportunity and we have a good chance to get into that top 4.
I understand that a lot of clubs are trying to get into that top 4, but the pressure on the manager of Manchester United to get in there is maybe a little bit more intense than many other clubs. Do you feel that? Do you accept that? Is it something you're easy with?
As you say, I accept it how it is, but I think also for the manager of Chelsea and from Newcastle United, all those clubs invest a lot in their squad, so there will be, for every manager, it's a big pressure to get into the Champions League. That's clear. You want to be in the top 4 and you want to fight for trophies, and yeah, that's our aim. That's clear.
You haven't spent £200 million, of course. I mean, talk about trophies. But top 4 is not just enough.
It's not enough,
EPL is back.
Mind you, EPL is back, and then Man U is a team, the household team. Man U is arguably one of the greatest teams in UK. And to see them go down the drain, even teams like Aimba have been better than Man U in the past, in recent times, is really disappointing. They spent loads and loads of money, almost over £1 billion since 2013 up to now, but still no result. They've not even won a plastic spoon, you know. And recent times they got Varane, one of the world-class defenders. They got in Lisandro Martinez, fantastic defender. They got in Casemiro, world-class midfielder. They got in a couple of players there, and they got in a new manager. And you know that like I always say on this station, there are two of managers. Those are sacked and those are waiting to be sacked. The question is, when will you be sacked? Or really waiting to sack? That's the question. But then, let's say I pass that for them against Tottenham Forest. You know, shortly before the World Cup, they had their ups and downs. They had an issue against Aston Villa. They won the League Cup. They won against the League Cup on Wednesday. Rashford is back. Hopefully, they don't sell him because PSG are coming knocking on the door and just want to sign a new deal. Let's say I pass that for them. A couple of players here and there. We hope and wish that they come up with their fine thing, that because it's a World Cup year, he has come back lackluster. The English players, Rashford, you know, they had a downtime in the World Cup. He came throwing the cup away, you know. Let's say I pass that for them.
All right, Austin, let's just wrap this up with EPL. Of course, Boxing Day is a big day in England because festivities happening around everywhere. And, of course, everyone wants to go to the stadium and also watch football. Just wrap this up before we leave the studio.
Yeah, it's good. It's good match day experience. You can make it to the stadium on Boxing Day, but for those of us who won't be at the stadium, can also catch the action on TV. I love that Ten Hag knows that he's got a lot of problems because when the league comes back, people start talking about Cristiano Ronaldo again. So he must deliver. But for Arsenal and their momentum, they must find a way to keep it going with that North London derby against West Ham. That's the show in London. I'm Austin Okonakman. In everything you do, remember, let's keep talking sports by for now.
Well, Vincent, thank you so much for coming on the program today.
Thank you very much, Celia. Thank you very much for Wayne. You know, I know that you'll be giving me venue for where we can eat rice. I can't see Austin. Austin is far away from us, so you cannot give me venue to go and eat rice. But a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. Merry Christmas.